This week on The Traitors.
Want to murder each other? I'm not going to pretend that we are working as a team, because we're not. That is over.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to it. We're going to be talking about the new episode of The Traitors. That is Season 3, Episode 5. Let's get right into this. Okay, so this episode wasn't like super overwhelming, but it was definitely a lot of moving parts that we definitely need to discuss because a lot of things happened that are definitely going to change the trajectory of the game coming up. So this episode begins with the Traitors meeting up in their place, Danielle, Carolyn, and Boston Rob, and there's a lot of tension as you could imagine. I mean, Boston Rob literally just outed their fellow traitor, Bob the drag queen, who has now been banished. Boston Rob right away says to them, listen, I'll never come for any of y'all unless y'all come for me first. The only reason I came for Bob the drag queen was because he put my name out there at the mission earlier today. Danielle says, okay, we would just appreciate it if you talk to us and, communicate clearly. Bob says he understands there just wasn't a lot of time to do it that day. Danielle is upset though. She doesn't like this. Carolyn is not a fan of Boston Rob doing this either. She thinks that this was more of an ego thing. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I actually believe Boston Rob. I do think that Bob the drag queen putting his name out there, not explicitly, but he did say, oh, we need to look into the new guys. I do think that that made Boston Rob mad, and that's the only reason he came at him. At least I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But again, Danielle, Carolyn are not happy about this whatsoever. But anyway, now it's time to discuss who are we going to kill, because way too many people have shields. So there aren't really a lot of options. The three that they discuss are Sam, Robyn, and Gabby. Then they come to a decision. It is now the next morning, time for breakfast. People are coming in. Now, let me tell y'all something. Dylan is smart. He's already clocking in that Carolyn might be a traitor. So he's definitely very smart in being able to call these people out. He sort of reminds me of last season. It was, I think his name was Peter, the Bachelor. He was kind of like Dylan, someone who is pretty smart at figuring a lot of these clues. Danielle is determined to get rid of Boston Rob. She is not going to sit back and just allow him to have betrayed one of the fellow traitors. So that's going to be her goal. So yeah, like I said, people are making their way in. Obviously, the last three that are still not there are Robyn, Gabby, and Sam. Then Sam and Gabby get there together, meaning Robyn didn't come in. Oh my gosh. I was like, no, not another housewife. I am not happy. I am not happy that they are doing this to my housewives. That means Dolores is now the only one left. I don't understand what the point of getting rid of Robyn was. There really is no strategic motive other than the fact that they're literally targeting housewives since the beginning of the season. That makes no sense to me at all. We're gonna have to change that next season. Anyway, Alan then comes in and he tells him that in today's mission they're gonna have to work a muscle, and he says something about the mission might be puzzling. Before the challenge, people have a little bit of time to talk. Now, Boston Rob, he definitely has a bit of a target on his back because it had been said the night before that only a traitor knows 100% who, with 100% certainty, who another traitor is. And because Boston Rob knew that Bob the drag queen was a traitor, that could mean that he is one as well. People are also trying to figure out what is the logic of getting rid of Robyn. Like, it makes no sense. So then Ivar tells Boston Rob that it was actually Wes that put his name out there. Now, just as a reminder, what I just said about someone saying that only a traitor knows 100% who another traitor was, the person that brought that up was Wes. So because Ivar now said this to Boston Rob goes directly to Wes. Here's the thing though, Wes denies ever saying that. which is obviously a lie. It's a complete lie. But yeah, he absolutely denies saying it. Boston Rob then tells Carolyn that he will never come after her. She's a little hesitant. She doesn't really know if she can trust him. Carolyn then tells Danielle what Rob just told her about having her back. But here's the thing, you guys. Danielle is concerned that perhaps Carolyn and Boston Rob actually have an alliance against her. People also still think that Nikki and Ciara are definitely on the table as being traitors. Let's not forget that they were also last week. Obviously, just got overshadowed by all of the Bob the Drag Queen stuff. But they're still definitely in trouble. So then it is time for the challenge. So also, on the way to the challenge, Boston Rob is now also planting seeds of things that didn't even happen. Like saying that Bob the Drag Queen said things to him that he really didn't. But because Bob the Drag Queen isn't there, Boston Rob can say it. There's no one to say that he's lying. And one of the things that he said was about Nikki, I believe, and Nikki does make a big reaction, which is going to come into play later in the episode. So they arrive at a place, kind of looks like a church. There's when they get inside, the first thing they see is a board of all of their pictures, and they also see a bunch of urns and a lot of things. So essentially what this challenge entails is this. Alan is going to say a riddle. Somebody, whoever, stands up first, is going to obviously need to know the answer of it. And the riddles, the answer to the riddle are just a single word. So if you know the answer and you're the first to get up, you're going to have to look for the urn that has that word. You have 20 seconds to look for it. You're then going to get it, and you're going to smash it into the ground. And if gold comes out of it after you smashed it, it means that you were correct. You're going to receive $2,500. And you're also going to get the opportunity to put a picture of someone in another board there that has two spaces. If a picture is in one of the two, those two people are going to get a shield. Here's the thing, though. Let's say you get the answer correct, you then put a picture up there, someone else puts another picture, but then someone else gets another one correct. They can also replace a picture. So that's going to be also important. So they go with the first riddle. Bob H gets up. He didn't even know the answer, which I think is a little crazy. Like, you're just wasting money, and, why would you get up if you didn't know the answer? But he got it wrong. He didn't even know. Derek goes next. He actually got the correct answer, so he wins $2,500 for the grand total prize, and he chooses someone to shield. So, of course, he chooses himself. Tom Sandoval goes next. He is also correct, gets money, and he puts himself up there. Then here's when things start to get messy. So Danielle gets a correct answer. Money and time to put someone up there. She says that she feels really bad that housewives have been targeted, so she puts Dolores' picture up there, which I personally was like, oh, yay, Dolores is safe. But somebody like Boston Rob is saying, why would you do that? You're putting a message out there that you think you're safe. But Danielle thinks this might be also looked at as selfless and things like that. But I'm glad that she chose Dolores. But here's the thing. There was already two people there, Derek and Sandoval. So Danielle replaces it with Derek's picture. Chrishell goes, she gets a correct one, and of course she takes Sandoval out. She's like obsessed with him. So here's the thing. Danielle goes again. And this time, she gets Derek's picture to give him a shield and replaces Chrishell's picture with Derek's. But now that is when Danielle is just doing herself no favors, because maybe the first time you could have gotten away with, okay, you're being nice to Dolores because she's the only housewife remaining, but now that this is your second one getting it correct, then you're going to put somebody that is not you? Yeah, you are being suspicious. And somebody actually asks her, aren't you afraid of being murdered? And she, wants to start crying again. That's her like little go-to thing to do. So then the final riddle, Ciara gets it correct. She takes her picture and replaces it with Derek's. So Ciara and Dolores have the shields, and they were able to get $15,000 added to the total amount of money for all the challenges. So they go back home. Danielle is now doing something that shocked me. She's betraying Carolyn. Wow, that took me by surprise. Because I knew she wanted to take Boston Rob out, but Carolyn? Here's the thing though, she wants to take Carolyn first and then go for the big one, Boston Rob, and I guess be the only traitor remaining. So she's going around telling people that it might be Carolyn. But here's the thing, because Carolyn is so like not suspicious, no one really thinks that it's Carolyn. So Danielle putting it out there isn't getting much traction yet. Here's the thing though, Chrishell thinks that maybe it might be Nikki. And she's not happy about this because Chrishell, Nikki, and Gabby have a little bit of like a clique. They call themselves the Bambis. But she claims that she got this suspicion on Nikki because of the face that she made in the car, which I told you I was going to come into play. She claims that that face gave her away, so she goes to tell this to Boston Rob, but like she doesn't want to do it herself because she's such good friends with her, so she might want somebody else to do it, but she definitely thinks that it's Nikki. So then it is time for the round table. So Ivar starts, and he pretty much says, listen, the three people that are whose names are being put out there are Nikki, Ciara, and Rob. Basically, defend yourselves. So Rob defends himself. He says that any suspicion that the round table with Bob the drag queen might have given them should not worry them, that Bob the drag queen was clearly projecting, and he just didn't want to get caught. But he says that he isn't a traitor. Nikki says that she thinks that it might be Rob, but she also thinks that it might be Ciara. Sam speaks for the first time ever. He says that if Rob doesn't get killed tonight, he's going to have his eye on him. And then Ciara claims that she's a faithful. And then this is where it becomes Nikki versus Ciara. And they start saying things to each other like, oh, well, you're so distant. You don't even talk to me. You're not bubbly. You act like a traitor. You don't act like a faithful. Maybe there was a traitor in one of the coffins. So, they're going at it pretty hard. But the crazy thing is neither one of them is a traitor. Chrishell then goes and she throws her homegirl under the bus. But she's very nervous. She's like crying and she says that she's so uncomfortable. But she thinks that it might be Nikki because she's really good on picking up on energies. Girl, clearly you're not. Okay, you got the wrong energy because what the hell? Yeah, your energy, that's your what you're using to back up your claim that you can read energies. Again, you're wrong. Read energies better. But she puts it out there. And then Bob H, he then signals to Boston Rob once again. And he says, wow, he really just 100% predicted it correctly without knowing. So Bob says that in his mind, maybe somebody, Boston Rob, who is a traitor, might want to get in there to claim their dominance. And what other way of doing it than by taking out another traitor, which, again, he's completely correct. So then it is time to vote. And right away, as the votes are coming in, you can already tell who it's going to be. Vote after vote, it's Nikki, 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 I voted for you. Nikki, I voted for you. Although it was funny because it was like straight up Nikki, but then all of a sudden Dylan, he writes down Gabby. That was funny because it was out of nowhere. But then this is the crazy thing. Gabby also votes for her fellow friend, Nikki. So Nikki now has enough votes. She goes to the circle of truth and she says, going forward, know that people are different. Just because people don't do things a certain way, don't doubt them. She says, I've won tonight because I'm going back home to my son, but y'all lost because I'm a faithful. And then she leaves. So everyone's definitely shocked that she wasn't a traitor. I feel really bad for Ciara though because she knows that like she's probably next because there was already a target on her back And the fact that the one that they got rid of wasn't a traitor, it's going to put even more eyes on her. So I do feel bad for her. She's crying a lot. Chrishell's crying. I was like, girl, get over it. I thought your energy was so good. But yeah, so that was a crazy banishment. Not surprised though. But then this is where the episode ends. So everyone's sort of, talking. They're getting ready to go to sleep. But then Dylan is hanging out with Carolyn. And he says to Carolyn, girl, there's somebody putting your name out there and you might want to go talk to them because they're definitely wrong. And Carolyn says, Who? Who is it? And Dylan says, Danielle. Carolyn was so shocked, you guys. So freaking shocked. And I feel bad for her because she's like, wow, this whole time I was worrying about Rob, but it's actually Danielle. And that's where the episode ends, so we won't see what happens until next week. Now, if I were in Carolyn's shoes, personally, I would really have two options. One, confront Danielle over this, or two, sort of not bring it up, but team up with Boston Rob, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if we're being honest, Danielle's kind of she sucks a little bit on being a trainer right now. She's doing a little bit too much. I think that it would be so much easier for Danielle to be banished. I feel like more people would believe that, and then people already have their eye on Boston Rob too, so he could probably also easily get eliminated. And without Carolyn and Boston Rob, I really don't think people are gonna catch on to Carolyn, and she could be the last traitor remaining. So if I were her, I would just play it back. I'm like, play it cool, lay back, say nothing, and allow Danielle and Boston Rob to get voted out by themselves. But you guys, let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.